Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast. And today I am so excited for you to meet Cayce Eastwood. She helps business owners stop getting stuck in procrastination, overwhelm, and perfectionism so that you can love running your business again. She is running this bundle right now called the Gentle Business Bundle that I am honored to be a part of. And I'm so excited for you to hear more about it because I think we can all have those moments of procrastination. And so finding out how to recognize them and what to do with them are great. So thank you so much, Cayce, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So I would love to hear a little bit more about your journey. How did you become a procrastination coach?
Oh, well, I started off being a procrastinator, right? So I have been running an online business. I started with a handmade stationery business, and I started that about 12 years ago. And I struggled in that business for a really long time with procrastination. And eventually I sort of burnt out because I was not able to do the things in the business that I really wanted to do. I would start things all the time and not finish them, or, I'd get a whole bunch of products ready, and then the launch, I might talk about it one time and then, never talk about it again. And eventually I discovered coaching, and I really began to understand the underlying reasons why I was procrastinating, because I think for a really long time, I just thought, I'm a procrastinator. This is just the way that I am. There's nothing I can do about it. And I learned actually that is not true. And so through the process of learning about that, about myself, I thought, I really love what I've learned, and I don't want other people to kind of have to deal with this battle for as long as I did. And so I decided to then become certified coach, specializing in self-doubt and fear-based procrastination. And I have been doing that now for a couple of years.
Awesome. I love that because just as you were sharing a little bit about your story, like I could hear pieces of myself doing something once and then not coming back to it again. I think sometimes, I've also maybe self-diagnosed myself with a little ADHD as I'm learning more about that as well, but also just being multi-passionate. I think, again, those self-doubts, we kind of hip hop over to so many different things. And it's not that we're not interested in pursuing them, but like you said, that follow through is where people get stuck, right?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. And a lot of it is because there's a part of us that has worries and fears, and our brain is always looking to kind of protect us from those negative feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it sees something, that might lead to something that we don't like failure or, rejection or judgment or something like that. And everybody's, what they're sensitive to is very personal to themselves. So, when we go to take action that might lead to that, then our brain just says, well, we don't want to do that. We want to stay in our nice comfort zone. And so I always found it really frustrating because I would watch other people and I'd say, well, they're doing it and it looks so easy for them. But I learned so much about, that's because maybe whatever it is that I'm sensitive to is not what they're sensitive to, or they were just had the tools to manage those fears better than I did at the time. And so, I just recognize it as a process that I'm going through, and it's still a thing that I struggle with. I say that I'm on the journey with the people that I work with just as much, as they are. But I just love seeing people make progress and seeing myself make progress, and we celebrate together. And it's a really beautiful thing.
Right. And I'm going to guess too, It sounds like a lot of it probably isn't a conscious where someone's going, I'm afraid or I'm doubting, but the action is where, your brain is putting that protective factor in place, right?
Yes, it's definitely mostly not conscious. So a lot of the work that we do is kind of bringing it into the conscious awareness. So recognizing like when we're procrastinating and then taking a few minutes to just sit down and ask ourselves why. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do I think I'm procrastinating on this task? Because when we do that and we start building that awareness around things, then we can see, oh, well, this specific kind of task is something that I'm likely to procrastinate on again in the future.
Mm-hmm.
How can I support myself to get ready to do that in a way that I hopefully won't procrastinate on as much, the next time I try to do it?
Right. Sounds like we're talking about some mindset work, which is one of my favorite things, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely mostly mindset work, which is not the fun work, but is so, so important.
And I know before we started recording, you said, it's not necessarily time management, because is that what you find? Like people jump towards managing their time rather than the mindset part when it comes to that procrastination piece?
Definitely. I think that it's what people think that they need, and so it's hard in the business thing. It's like sell them what they think they need and give them what they really need or something like that. But I try not to do that because I actually think um, it isn't it I'm very upfront with saying it's not time management
Mm-hmm.
issues, because the problem is that there's something, again, that underlying fear that's probably keeping you from taking the action. It's not that you're just really bad at sitting down and writing an email. It's
Mm-hmm.
that there's the underlying reason why you keep putting writing off that email. And so it's very little to do with the actual time management. Now,
Absolutely.
obviously, there are different, with ADHD and stuff like that, there's different circumstances where it is, not necessarily fear based, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not so much an expert on that. But I just wanted to
Right.
mention that.
No, but as you were saying with the email, I'm sure we assume other people's expectations. We have those limiting beliefs about how we already pre-predict that it's going to be received and that type of thing, which can definitely hold you up from moving forward in that direction. So if someone's listening right now and hears themselves, in these stories and examples, what would be one place you would start them at?
I think the actual key is self compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So when you notice yourself procrastinating on something that you think should be really easy, try not to beat yourself up about it. I think when we are really kind to ourselves, and say, I don't necessarily love what I'm doing, but I recognize it for what it is. And then you have that self compassion, and that then allows you to, take the next step to understand more, to then be supportive of yourself when you do take the action, and then to then be supportive of yourself if it doesn't if you don't take the action, right? Because if you don't do something and you beat yourself up about it, that's not going to encourage you to actually do the thing. Right?
Right.
So we have to really just lean into self-compassion, I think, is the biggest thing.
Right. So, what are some of the practices that you would say you do on a regular basis as you're on your own journey to kind of stave off that procrastination and practice your self compassion?
I think a lot of it is reflection. So there's a lot of journaling. I have a series of prompts that I share in my membership with my members that are basically every day at the end of the day, you just sit down and there's a few questions that I ask myself. The basic gist is, if I procrastinated today, what am I worried about? um, what is a kind way that I can think about the situation? So kind of reframing it and saying it to back in a gentle way to myself,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that you would speak to a friend instead of beating yourself up. And then it's planning ahead for the next day. So what do I need to do or know or say that would hopefully make taking the action tomorrow that little bit easier. and then it's just a process. So I'm probably not as good at doing that every day as I used to be, but I think it's because, a lot of times when I'm procrastinating now, I know why I'm doing it. Um, I'm like, oh, it's that again, because it tends to be the same things showing up. I recognize what tasks now are likely to lead to procrastination. And so when I do find myself procrastinating on those tasks, I understand why, and then I'm like, okay, let's do this. We can do this. We can manage those risks.
Right. So I also mentioned in the beginning, you're doing a bundle right now called the Gentle Business Bundle. It's live for a couple more days. I'm, like I said, so excited and honored to be a part of it. Can you share what people would get from kind of grabbing some of the free resources in this bundle?
So the resources that I have accepted to be in the bundle are not just about necessarily business tools. There's a lot of, again, there's mindset stuff, there's self-care tools, there's meditation, there's a lot of things in that kind of area. And then there are, I think, businessy type tools that are more kind of to help you take some of the creative burden off of having to do all the things in your business. So I'm hoping that people can go in and find resources that will help them to just make running their business feel a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, and I say, I want obviously for my lovely contributors to have as many signups as possible, but also for the people who are signing up to try to just be really mindful about, going for the things that you think are going to be most useful and that you are going to download and use straight away, because a lot of times I know I've signed up for bundles and I've signed up for 20,000 things, and then I get the email, the inbox overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that for people, so it's like go through and find the things that are really, really speaking to you, and that you're going to use and that you think are going to be most supportive on your kind of business journey.
Right. And, definitely the links will be live in the show notes for that below as well. Plus, when you sign up, it's not like you have to get it right away. You'll still have a couple weeks to really go through the tools, download one, use it, and then come back in and see what else you need to supplement that, which is great.
Yeah, the deadline for signing up for individual resources is not until the middle of November. It's November the 13th, I think. So there's plenty of time to go through, like you said, and choose a couple of things to start with and see how those help you, and then to dive back in and then and see what else is there.
Mm-hmm. And then, as part of that self-compassion and self-care, I always love to talk about gratitude because I just think that's such an underutilized form of self-care. What would you say are the top 2 to 3 things you're the most grateful for?
I am grateful for the support of my husband. I think being in this online business journey is really difficult, and I can't imagine doing it without having his support because, well, it's just really hard. And it's not only his emotional support, but also, he's, watching the kids right now while I'm here talking to you, and that's a huge thing. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the wonderful clients that have trusted me with their time and their money. I am just so happy every day that I get to do this. And let's see. I am going to be a little bit silly with this one, but I love
Yeah.
chocolate brownies. So I'm going to be grateful for chocolate
Yeah.
brownies.
No, it's not silly. Sometimes it's those little things, that little moment that sparks you up with your brownie that, is where we need to really savor that moment in order to get through the day.
Yeah.
So, how can people find you, Cayce? How can they work with you?
Okay. So I have a low ticket membership called the Procrastination to Success Society. And so that is where I work with most of my clients. And that can be found at procrastinationtosuccess.com/society. And the address will be in the show notes, I'm sure. and I'm not that big on social media, so that's probably the best way to find me, because I mostly do email, but definitely go there. And I have a freebie, which is 25 affirmations to help overcome procrastination. So if you find that those would be helpful, that can, I guess, help you start on your journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cayce, for joining us today. And I'm excited to check out who some of the other people are in the bundle and everything like that as well. So thank you so much again.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.